before you can start the process of healing. Before you can ever think about moving forward, you have to acknowledge the pain. This is the first step, and it is often the hardest one to take. We live in a world that tells us to push through, to keep moving, to show strength, and to never let anyone see our weakness. But the truth is, when we bury our pain, when we refuse to acknowledge it, we only prolong the suffering. The first thing you need to understand is that it's okay to hurt. It's okay to feel the weight of the betrayal. It's okay to experience the heartbreak, the disappointment, the anger. These emotions are real. They are valid. Often we try to avoid the pain. We suppress it with distractions, work, relationships, entertainment, anything that keeps us from facing what's truly going on inside. But the pain doesn't go away just because we avoid it. In fact, it grows stronger. It festers in the dark corners of your heart and mind, building resentment, blocking your ability to truly heal. Acknowledging the pain doesn't mean wallowing in it or allowing it to define you, but it does mean giving yourself permission to feel it. You need to admit to yourself that what you're feeling is not only natural, but necessary for your growth. Acknowledge the feelings of betrayal for what they are, part of the human experience. When someone you trusted turns on you, it shakes you to your core. It's not just the loss of trust in that person, but the loss of belief in the world around you. For a moment, everything you thought you knew about people, about your life, and about your journey is thrown into question. That's why it hurts so much. It's the shattering of a belief system. But what you must realize is that this pain, as intense and overwhelming as it may feel, is also an opportunity to grow, to evolve, and to rediscover your strength. When you allow yourself to truly feel the pain, you break free from the chains of denial. Denial is an emotional prison, and only by acknowledging the truth of your feelings can you begin the process of breaking out. Don't rush this step. Don't try to speed through the pain in order to get to the good part. Let yourself feel. It's not a weakness, it's a sign of your strength. It's a step toward healing. You can't heal what you don't acknowledge. And by acknowledging your pain, you begin to take back control of the situation. It's important to understand that numbing the pain is not the same as healing it. Whether you numb it with substances, work, or even busyness, all you're doing is postponing the inevitable. The pain will still be there. It will catch up with you eventually. And by then, it may be even more difficult to face. When you deny the pain, you create a wound that never truly heals. But when you acknowledge it, when you look at it square in the face, you open the door for true recovery. Acknowledging the pain means you also recognize that you've been affected. It means you stop pretending like nothing happened or that you can just move on with a smile on your face. It means accepting that this hurt is real, that this experience was deeply impactful. It's an honest confrontation with your emotional state, a willingness to face the raw truth, no matter how ugly or uncomfortable it may seem. And in that moment of confrontation, you find the strength to not just survive this experience, but to transcend it. It's the first step in your transformation. Once you've acknowledged the pain, the next crucial step in overcoming betrayal is to reframe your perspective. This is where the true power lies. Betrayal is a devastating experience, but it doesn't have to define you. What it can do, however, is offer you the opportunity to rise above, to grow, and to become stronger than you ever thought possible. How you choose to see the situation will determine how long you remain stuck in the pain and how quickly you can turn that pain into power. The first thing to understand is that your emotions are valid, but they do not have to control your entire reality. Betrayal may feel personal, but the truth is, it's often not about you at all. It's about the other person, their choices, their weaknesses, and their own struggles. When you reframe betrayal in this light, you begin to detach yourself from the situation. It allows you to see that the actions of others are a reflection of them, not of your worth. The pain you feel is real, but it's not a judgment of who you are. It's a result of someone else's decisions. Another key part of reframing your perspective is recognizing that betrayal, although incredibly painful, doesn't have to be a permanent scar on your life. You don't have to let it be the defining moment of your story. In fact, you can choose to see it as a chapter that will eventually lead to a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. This shift in perspective doesn't mean pretending the betrayal didn't hurt or trying to gloss over the damage it caused. Rather, it's about seeing the experience through a lens that empowers you to grow, rather than remaining stuck in anger and bitterness. One powerful tool in reframing is to ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? Life is full of challenges, and each one carries a lesson. Betrayal, no matter how painful, is an invitation to learn about your own boundaries, your trust, and your resilience. Maybe this experience is pushing you to trust yourself more. Perhaps it's teaching you to trust your instincts or to set stronger boundaries with others. Maybe it's opening your eyes to who you truly are. Someone who is capable of handling hardship and emerging on the other side even stronger than before. By reframing your perspective, you also release the belief that betrayal is something that shouldn't have happened. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes we're faced with experiences that feel unfair and unjust. We feel like we've been wronged, and in many cases we have been. But in the grand scheme of things, the idea that life should go a certain way is an illusion. What happens is simply what happens. The real power comes from accepting the reality of the situation, not fighting against it, and deciding what you're going to do next. The choice is yours. You can remain stuck in the bitterness and anger, or you can see this as an opportunity to redefine your journey and to become the architect of your own future. Reframing your perspective also involves giving up the need for closure from others. We often want closure when we've been betrayed, thinking that some external explanation will bring us peace. But true closure doesn't come from other people. It comes from within. It comes from the moment you decide to stop seeking validation or answers from those who wronged you. It comes when you accept that you may never fully understand why things happened the way they did, and that's okay. You release the need for someone else to make it right because you understand that only you can take control of your healing. When you reframe betrayal, you stop being a victim to it. You stop seeing yourself as someone who has been done to, and start seeing yourself as someone who has the power to do something with this experience. It's not about forgetting the betrayal, but about not allowing it to have the power over your future. It's about choosing to become stronger, wiser, and more compassionate because of what you've been through. This shift in perspective isn't easy. It requires effort, awareness, and the willingness to let go of old ways of thinking. But by reframing betrayal, you take the first step toward emotional freedom. You stop seeing yourself as a passive player in your own story and start seeing yourself as the hero, the one who decides how this chapter will unfold. Through this new lens, the pain, the heartache, the disappointment, it all becomes fuel for your transformation. Instead of holding you back, it pushes you forward. And once you start to see betrayal in this way, you'll realize that it can't harm you unless you let it. The next crucial step in overcoming betrayal is to release your need for revenge. This is where many people get trapped. When someone betrays us, there's often an overwhelming desire to make them pay, to see them suffer in the same way we've suffered. The injustice of what happened feels unbearable, and in those moments, revenge seems like the only way to regain control, the only way to make things right. But here's the harsh truth. Revenge will never bring you peace. It will never heal the wound. In fact, the only thing revenge will do is keep you chained to the very pain you are trying to escape. You see, holding on to the desire for revenge is like holding on to a hot coal. It might seem justified. It might feel like the only way to ease the burning in your soul, but in reality, it only hurts you. The person who wronged you may have hurt you deeply, but the resentment you hold against them continues to hurt you long after they've moved on. The truth is, revenge does nothing but extend your suffering and make you a prisoner of your own emotions. When you choose to hold on to anger, hatred, and the need to get even, you give your power away. You let the person who betrayed you continue to control your thoughts, your energy, and your life. Revenge keeps you stuck in the past. It's a loop that you can never break free from. Every time you think about it, every time you fantasize about getting even, you're only reinforcing the pain. It's like hitting replay on a painful moment over and over again, never allowing yourself the chance to move forward. Your mind becomes consumed with thoughts of retaliation, and your heart remains locked in a state of anger and bitterness. To release your need for revenge, you must first realize that seeking it is an illusion of control. When you try to punish someone else for what they've done to you, you're not actually gaining any power. You're just sinking deeper into a mindset of victimhood. Revenge is a reaction. It's emotional, impulsive, and most often destructive. It's based on the belief that somehow causing the other person pain will heal your own. But the reality is, even if you succeeded in making them pain, it would not erase your own pain. It would only create more of it. Moreover, revenge often backfires. You might think that hurting the other person will make you feel better, but instead it often leaves you feeling emptier, more lost, and more disconnected from your true self. You might momentarily feel a sense of satisfaction or justice, but it's fleeting. That fleeting moment of relief quickly evaporates, and you're left with more regret, more emotional weight, and more distance from the person you truly want to be. Revenge, in the end, is a hollow victory. It's an emotional trap that keeps you stuck in the very pain you're trying to escape. Another reason you must release the need for revenge is because it's a constant drain on your energy. The mental and emotional effort required to plan, plot, or even fantasize about revenge takes a significant toll. It diverts your attention from what truly matters, the next steps in your healing, your growth, and your future. Every moment you spend plotting how to make someone pay is a moment lost in the past, a moment taken away from your potential for a brighter future. Revenge keeps you trapped in a cycle of negativity, robbing you of the power to focus on what you can control: yourself, your choices, and your destiny. Releasing the need for revenge also involves realizing that justice is not your job. There is a higher order at work in this world. We are often consumed by the desire for fairness, for the wrongdoer to get what's coming to them. But in doing so, we place ourselves in the role of judge and jury, assuming that we can exact true justice. But justice, in its truest form, is not in our hands. It's in the hands of a greater force. When you let go of your desire to control the outcome, you release the burden of responsibility for someone else's actions. The universe has its own way of working things out. The person who has wronged you may or may not experience the consequences of their actions, but that's no longer for you to decide. The sooner you accept this, the sooner you'll find peace. When you release your need for revenge, you reclaim your emotional freedom. You break the chains that bind you to the person who betrayed you, and you free yourself from the prison of anger and resentment. You take back control of your life and your future. The real power comes from forgiving, not because the other person deserves it, but because you deserve it. You deserve to move forward without the weight of bitterness and resentment. You deserve the freedom to heal, to grow, and to find happiness again without the burden of carrying around the need to get even. Finally, releasing the need for revenge is an act of self-respect. You refuse to allow someone else's actions to dictate your emotional state. You rise above their behavior. You choose to be the person who rises above negativity, who doesn't let another's actions pull them down into the mud. You choose to heal, to grow, and to thrive. When you stop seeking revenge, you choose peace over conflict, healing over hurt, and empowerment over victimhood. That is the ultimate victory. Once you've acknowledged the pain, reframed your perspective, and released the need for revenge, the final and most empowering step in overcoming betrayal is to empower yourself to move forward. This is where your journey truly begins. The reality is that betrayal, no matter how devastating, is not the end of your story. It's just a chapter. The power lies in what you do next, in the choice you make to rise from the ashes and redefine your life. Moving forward is a conscious decision, an act of strength, and it is absolutely within your control. The power to transform your pain into power comes from your willingness to take the first step toward reclaiming your life, your happiness, and your sense of purpose. The first thing you need to understand is that moving forward doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending that the betrayal didn't happen or that the pain wasn't real. Moving forward is not about erasing the past, but rather about choosing to no longer let it dictate your present or your future. You can honor the pain without being controlled by it. You can recognize the hurt without being trapped in the past. By empowering yourself to move forward, you are deciding that this betrayal will no longer have the final say in your life. The decision to move forward is an act of self-liberation. It's your chance to break free from the emotional chains that have held you back and step into the person you are always meant to be. Moving forward begins with creating a new vision for your life. Betrayal often leaves us feeling lost, uncertain, and disconnected from our dreams. When someone you trust hurts you, it shakes your belief in people, in the future, and sometimes even in yourself. But the key to moving forward is not to let that betrayal steal your vision. Instead, use this moment as a catalyst for creating something even bigger and better than before. Take some time to rediscover what you truly want. What are your dreams, your goals, your aspirations? What kind of life do you want to build for yourself now that you've experienced this setback? Moving forward requires you to define your path, to consciously choose the direction in which you want to go, and to take action toward creating that future. This new vision will become the fuel that propels you forward, giving you a sense of purpose and motivation in the face of adversity. To empower yourself, it's also critical that you reclaim your confidence and self-worth. Betrayal can make you question your judgment, your ability to trust, and your sense of value. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that you somehow deserved it, or that you're not worthy of love and respect. But the truth is, the betrayal was not a reflection of your worth, it was a reflection of the other person's character and choices. Your self-worth is not contingent upon how others treat you. It's rooted in who you are at your core. To move forward, you must reconnect with that deep sense of self. You are not defined by the mistakes of others, nor are you defined by their failures to live up to your expectations. You are defined by your ability to rise after falling, to heal after hurt, and to keep going despite the challenges. Reclaim your confidence, trust yourself again, and remember that you are worthy of everything you desire in life. Empowering yourself also involves forgiving yourself. Too often, we hold on to guilt or self-blame after a betrayal. We wonder if we could have done something differently, if we could have seen the warning signs sooner, if we could have prevented it. But the truth is, you did the best you could with the information and the resources you had at the time. Blaming yourself for the actions of others is a trap that keeps you stuck in regret and self-doubt. To move forward, you must let go of self-blame and embrace self-compassion. Forgive yourself for any perceived mistakes or misjudgments, and understand that you are human. You are allowed to make mistakes, and you are allowed to learn from them. By forgiving yourself, you release the emotional weight that keeps you from stepping into your power and allows you to move forward with a renewed sense of purpose and freedom. One of the most empowering things you can do is to take action. When you've been betrayed, it's easy to become paralyzed by fear, hurt, or uncertainty. You may feel like you've lost your footing, like you're not sure how to move forward, or like you're afraid of trusting again. But the antidote to this paralysis is action. Even the smallest step forward can make a world of difference. It might be as simple as setting a new goal, learning a new skill, or engaging in activities that bring you joy and fulfillment. Action creates momentum. It propels you out of the stagnation that betrayal can bring and back into a place where you are actively creating your life. Each small step you take builds confidence, and with every forward movement, you distance yourself from the pain of the past and move closer to the future you deserve. Finally, embrace the growth that comes from this experience. Every challenge we face in life has the potential to teach us something valuable. Betrayal is no different. While it may be painful, it also carries with it the seeds of growth. This experience has made you more resilient, more aware, and more compassionate. It's shown you what you're made of, and it's given you an opportunity to grow stronger in ways you never imagined. Moving forward isn't just about getting past the betrayal. It's about using the lessons you've learned to become a better, wiser, more powerful version of yourself. The person you are now, after all of this, is someone who has the strength to face any challenge, to rise above any obstacle, and to create a life that is even more fulfilling than before. Empowering yourself to move forward is the ultimate act of reclaiming your life. It's about deciding that your future will not be determined by the actions of others, but by the choices you make today. It's about choosing to believe in yourself, to trust your own strength, and to step into the future with confidence and determination. The power to heal, to rise, and to create the life you deserve is within you. It's not in the past. It's in the present, and it's waiting for you to step into it. In the end, overcoming betrayal is about reclaiming your power and taking control of your future. Acknowledge the pain, reframe your perspective, release the need for revenge, and empower yourself to move forward. Each step you take is a step toward healing, growth, and reclaiming your peace. Remember, betrayal may have wounded you, but it does not define you. You have the strength to rise above it, to transform your pain into power, and to create a future filled with hope, purpose, and limitless potential. Your journey is yours to shape, and it starts now.